I consider myself a bit of a nerd when it comes to credit cards. So naturally, when I got the offer this morning to apply for an Apple credit card, I couldn't help myself and I went ahead and applied for one. Apple offered me a $15,000 credit limit and a 12.99% interest rate, which is actually the lowest interest rate they offer. But before accepting their offer, I decided to go read about the card and ultimately clicked no thanks. In this video, I'm going to discuss why the Apple credit card was not the best choice for me and why it may not necessarily be the right choice for you either if you're shopping for a new credit card. Now, I'm not going to bash Apple on their first attempt at a credit card. There are already plenty of videos and articles about that. Instead, in this video, I'm going to first talk about what Apple did right in their first attempt at a credit card, and then I'll go into the fine details of why I think there are better choices out there. First and foremost, I want to talk about just how easy and quick the approval process was. From the moment I got the email to my approval took all of 30 seconds. The longest part of it was entering my income and putting in my last 4 digits of my social. Everything else was already pre-filled and I was able to hit submit and within seconds got the offer from them. So I must say that it was really easy. Another great thing about their process was that they only did a soft credit pull when it comes to providing you an offer with a limit and an interest rate. This is helpful because it doesn't negatively affect your credit. It's only when you decide to accept their offer that they will do a full hard credit pull, which will end up hurting your credit. So just be mindful of that. When it comes to quality, Apple is known in the industry for providing quality products. I have been a fan of their MacBooks, iMacs, and iPhones for years now. I've had a number of their products and every single one of them is a quality product in my opinion. It's no different with this credit card. It's made out of engraved titanium, which of course titanium is known to be the strongest, one of the strongest and lightest metals out there. So it's going to give you that nice hefty card feel. It's going to feel solid while still being very light. So I commend Apple for making a really nice looking and feeling credit card. This isn't unlike some of the other offers out there, however, like Chase Sapphire, and I will compare this to some of my daily drivers, which are a couple of cards from Chase, as well as my Citi Diamond Preferred card, and finally my Citi Double Cash credit card. Now about that 12.99% interest rate that Apple offered me, their range of interest rates is actually between 12.99% and 23.99%. And to be quite honest, the 12.99 is the lowest interest rate that I have for any of my credit cards. The next best credit card I have is actually a 15.24% interest rate from Citi. So I do commend Apple on providing relatively decent rates on their new cards. But we will talk a little bit more about interest rates later on in the video when I'm actually discussing the cons of this credit card. So another thing that I have to commend Apple for is that this is a truly free credit card. There is no annual fee, there are no overage fees, no late fees, no transaction fees, no foreign transaction fees. This is truly a free credit card. So good on Apple for doing that. Even other credit cards that do have the no foreign transaction fees and are known to be good travel cards, such as the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, which I own, still cost $95 per year. So again, it's pretty nice that Apple gave you the benefit of no foreign transaction fees and no fees at all with a card that is truly free to own. When it comes to rewards, Apple also did something relatively unique with their card. The majority of credit cards out there that have points or cashback rewards, such as the Citi Double Cash card or the Chase Ultimate Rewards cards and Freedom cards, Chase Sapphire cards, they all give you the rewards back monthly. It's once you receive your statement and pay your bill that you're going to receive those points that you can use to then redeem for either cash back, gift cards, or for travel. So Apple has this daily cash thing that they're doing when it comes to rewards. And what that is once your transaction posts in a couple of days after you've made your transaction, that is when you get your 1, 2, or 3% cash back. So why the 1, 2, 3? Well, you get 3% cash back when you shop at an Apple store, apple.com, iTunes, and they've also included Uber and Uber Eats, which is pretty nice. You have to use Apple Pay with those different locations and you get 3% back on your transaction. You get 2% back if you use an Apple Pay at any various stores that accept it, and that list is growing day by day. And that includes various stores such as CVS, Target, Starbucks. I know Shell gas stations are accepting Apple Pay. So there is a pretty decent list of places where you can get your 2% cash back. You get 1% cash back when you end up using the physical card pretty much anywhere. So these rewards go back to your Apple Pay cash account, and you can use that to either make purchases, send money to people that are on the Apple iPhone ecosystem through the messaging app, or you can use it to simply apply a payment back to the credit card, similar to other credit cards. Apple's credit card is also highly interactive when using the app. It will automatically categorize your spending by category and color so that you can easily access it and maintain a good monthly budget. You can also view the GPS location of your transactions, which can be useful for those times where you may have shopped at a store and don't necessarily remember where it is you went and what the transaction was for. Apple's security and identity protection benefits are also top-notch. There are no visible numbers on the credit card, and instead, there is a virtual number that's provided only by accessing your iPhone, which of course is also locked by either Face ID or Touch ID or by PIN. This means that even if someone were to steal your physical Apple credit card, they won't be able to do anything with it since they would need to know the virtual number as well as have your face or touch associated with your phone. So in my opinion, this does a really good job in protecting your identity and is not far different from some of the other credit cards out there that do offer the virtual account number. However, they do not offer this Face ID or Touch ID added security that Apple offers by using your cell phone in the transaction. So with all these great benefits, you may wonder, why in the world would I say no thank you to the Apple credit card? Why would I reject their offer? Well, forgive this rant for a second, but let's first start with the breaking news that Apple released earlier today. And that is, if you want to keep that card nice and pretty, make sure to not have it next to any keys, coins, leather, or denim, because it will become either discolored or scratched. In my mind, this really conveys the target audience that Apple had in mind with the Apple Card, and that is the younger generation that is concerned with having a fashionable card that is a bit of a statement, more so than people that are concerned with having a really good credit card. Now, with that in mind, my first major problem with the Apple credit card or the Apple Card is that you need to have an iPhone. And obviously, Apple really thought about this when creating the card. They want people to be more involved in the Apple ecosystem. So if you don't currently own an iPhone, an iPad, a MacBook, they want you to own one. And if you currently own one, they want to make sure that you stick with it. And normally I wouldn't have a problem with this. My wife and I own 3 different MacBooks. I recently sold an iMac that I had. We each have iPhones. I have an iPad. So I'm definitely a fan of Apple's products. But the major difference between the Apple Card and all the other products I mentioned is that the other products can be used independently of each other. You could take your MacBook anywhere in the world and use it without necessarily having your iPhone nearby. The Apple Card, on the other hand, does require your iPhone nearby to make purchases and even to make payments. There is currently no web-based interface for using the Apple Card. This means that if you leave your phone at home or happen to lose your phone, you can't use the credit card. And this is a real concern for people like me that do leave their phone at home sometimes if I'm going to a store just a couple of blocks away, or if I'm going over to the gym. I might bring just my ID, a credit card, and maybe an iPod, or maybe no iPod. But with the Apple credit card, I wouldn't be able to do that. I would have to have my phone nearby and hope that I don't lose it. Apple's solution to you losing your iPhone and not being able to use the credit card is get another iPhone or iPad to use in its place. Which seems kind of silly to me since, of course, you never know when you're going to lose your phone. And you should be able to still use the credit card independent of a phone, in my opinion. Misplacing your phone aside, the other problem is that because it's so tied down to the Apple ecosystem, in order to get the great benefits from the card when it comes to rewards, you also need to use your iPhone or iPad because you must use Apple Pay. Without using Apple Pay and getting the 2 or 3% rewards, you're stuck with getting a 1% reward, which is actually worse than the majority of other credit cards on the market. The majority of other credit cards offer 1.5% or even 2% when it comes to the Citi Double Cash card. So the Apple Card actually falls short in its rewards if you're not currently a part of the Apple ecosystem. Now about those rewards, even if you do go to the Apple Store often and wish to get that 3% rewards back using the Apple Card, that sounds pretty good until you realize that there are other stores that offer Apple products such as Best Buy that actually offer a 5% cashback reward on those products. And I actually did this a couple of weeks ago. I bought a 2019 13-inch MacBook Pro and I believe it was $1,500. So I paid for it in cash and used my Best Buy credit card simply to get the the 5% rewards. I was able to pay for it right away and got 5% back rather than Apple's offer of 3% back. In my opinion, Apple was also relatively stingy when it comes to the credit card limit. And some of you out there might go, hey, but wait, they gave you $15,000. That's a pretty healthy credit card limit. Well, considering the 797 FICO score that they told me I have and the various other credit cards that I've had over the years, I could tell you that 15 grand is a little bit stingy. My Citi Double Cash card is a $25,000 limit, and my Citi Diamond Preferred card, as an example, is $47,500. And I'm not saying that to show off. I'm simply saying that Apple was a little bit stingier in its credit limits than I expected. Another thing to consider, unlike my other credit cards, is you need to wait a full 6 months of ownership with the Apple credit card in order to request an increase. And this is something that I've actually done with my other credit cards over the years in order to increase their available balances. And this can be important because when it comes to your credit score, there's something called the utilization rate. And the lower your balance is versus the available balance on your credit cards, the better it is for your credit score. So it makes sense for me to get a high credit limit, especially if I'm going to have a hard pull on my credit that's going to cost me points on my FICO score. Now, going back to the interest rate that they offered me at 12.99, I mentioned earlier in the video that that is a very good interest rate and is much lower than the other interest rates I have on my credit cards. However, with Apple's target audience in mind, again, the younger generation, the millennial crowd, the majority of people are going to get approved for the higher interest rate, which is actually what I've seen so far on other videos and internet articles. The other problem I have with Apple's interest rates, even though they are lower than other credit cards, is that they are using that to entice the millennials, the younger generations, to apply for the Apple Card. And let's say you really do get approved for the 12.99% interest rate. You'd be missing the bigger picture, and that is, it is actually much healthier to pay your credit card off every single month. So I actually think having a pretty low interest rate of 12.99 is actually going to entice people just enough to keep balances on their credit card and be in debt to Apple. And that is not ultimately healthy for your wealth and your credit. So the majority of the rewards credit cards out there nowadays come with introductory rate offers or balance transfer offers, or may give you a certain number of rewards points for spending money in the first few months of the card ownership. And just to show you what I'm talking about, here's something that I received in the mail just today. And it says that it's a 0% offer for 18 months, and you pay 0% interest on purchases and qualifying balance transfers until 2021. Apple's credit card has no introductory rate offers and has no balance transfer or cash advance options, at least not as of today. And this is a great perk that I think the other credit cards out there are offering. You never know when you need some emergency money and need to do a balance transfer. Even though it may get you in debt, it may be your only option when it comes to losing your job, or maybe you find an investment out there that'll pay you 10% and it's going to cost you 5% on your credit card for 1 year. It may be worth it to look into things like that. So as another example, the Chase Sapphire card that I own does cost $95 a year. However, right now, if you sign up for one, they're giving away 60,000 points, which used to actually be 50,000 points, if you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months of card ownership. And while $4 grand may sound like a lot of money, if you think about it on monthly terms, that's only $1,333 a month. And if you talk about the money that people are spending on food, on insurance, on gas, maybe even on utilities, all combined, the majority of people out there will probably hit that $1,333 a month. So this means that you can use those 60,000 points to either get $600 cash back or can redeem it on the Chase website to get $750 in travel benefits. Some people have even leveraged the points by using partnerships that Chase has set up with various airlines and hotels where they can actually get 2 cents per point, or in other words, $1,200 cash back when it comes to redeeming for travel. So as you can see, Apple's card really falls short compared to the competition when it comes to introductory 0% rate offers, balance transfers, and bonus points just for signing up for the card. Finally, and this may not be a big deal to all of you out there, but it was certainly a big deal to me, and that is that Apple does not allow multiple users on their credit cards. So if you have a spouse or family member or a child that you want to add to your account, you can't do that. It is one card, one account per person. And while this may not sound like a big deal, it can be, since you now have multiple credit cards out there instead of just one, making it that much harder to keep up with monthly budgeting or payments. So that's something to consider if you typically do add your spouse, children, or other family members on your credit cards. You simply can't do that with the Apple Card. So in summary, I do think that Apple's first attempt at a credit card was a decent one, but if it were me, I'd wait for Apple Card 2.0. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please smash the like button as it would help the channel grow and motivate me to make more videos like this one. Also, please subscribe so that you can be notified of future content. See you next time.